When you're 17, being a high school football star means you're pretty much invincible. You're a tough guy, a hotshot. So when you get headaches, you don't go crying to your coach. You play.
It's the culture of the game. You play through the pain. That's what you do when you're a football player. Football players are tough. Your buddies are going to be like, oh, come on, like, you have a headache, like, that kind of thing.
2 years ago, Kevin Saum was captain of his team.
Touchdown, West Mars, number 37, Kevin Saum.
Like many kids, he ignored the blinding headaches he developed after a game.
I kept, like, talking myself out of it because the only symptom I had was a really bad headache. And I thought, like, I remembered everything, and I wasn't vomiting, I wasn't nauseous. I was like, oh, I just have a headache, or it's probably like a sinus infection or something. In my gut, I knew something was wrong, and I just didn't say anything because I wanted to play.
Because he didn't tell anyone, Kevin never knew he had a concussion. And because he played with a concussion, an ordinary hit was all it took to take him out of the game forever.
I just remember standing up, and I just couldn't feel my legs. I was like, so then that's when I knew that there was a problem. I got really scared, too.
He actually did walk off the field. And when I walked up to him, I said, hey, buddy, what's going on? And he said, my head hurts so bad, and my legs feel like Jell-O.
I was able to walk, but I, like, couldn't feel it. It was like rubber. From the waist down, I just couldn't feel anything, and then my heart, like, sunk.
Then he started to twitch a little bit. I remember him turning his head, and then he had a gaze. And right as soon as he had that gaze, we all knew he didn't know anybody. He didn't even recognize his father. Both his eyes went all the way over to the right. And that when you have a right-sided gaze like that, that usually they have a bleed, some kind of bleed going on. And just as I went, oh boy, he started to seize.
It's called second impact syndrome, and Kevin is extraordinarily lucky to be alive today. 50% of people who suffer from it die, and most of the people who survive have lasting brain damage.
The easiest example I always say is the yolk and the eggshell. Basically, there's space between our skull, the hard bone, and the brain on the inside. When a head is hit and it turns quickly like the yolk in an eggshell, that brain moves around a lot. When it moves around a lot, it can hit the side walls of the brain. It can stretch the brain, not big stretches, tiny. It can twist the brain. Those stretching and twisting motions cause damage to the nerves themselves.
Kevin knows he's lucky, but it doesn't feel that way.
My big dream was that I wanted to play college football, and that's what I worked towards my whole life. When I went in to get surgery, my first surgery, the doctor he came out right away and told me that he literally said, I'll never step foot on a football field again.
What was your reaction at that moment?
I cried.
What we've seen is the milder symptoms are sometimes the most dangerous because they're overlooked. Those are the ones that are missed. Those kids go out and they end up worse off. If that youngster had taken a week off or whatever time they needed to recover, they would have been back pretty quickly. They go out, they play, they sustain another hit or two, and all of a sudden those mild symptoms mushroom.
It's no surprise high school football players suffer the most concussions. But the next most dangerous sport? Cheerleading. Competitive cheerleading is basically gymnastics. And with so many girls flying in the air, concussions are common. Within the first half hour of this practice at West Milford High School, one cheerleader was knocked to the ground and sent to the trainer.
Through the years, we were never really considered a contact sport, and I was surprised by that. It's very contact. The girls are constantly building, they're constantly doing tosses, so there's a much higher risk for concussions that I don't think a lot of people realize. I think they're used to them just doing cheers on the sidelines.
Last month, McKenzie Smith suffered a serious concussion.
Well, we were doing a basket toss. This is when you throw your flyer in the air, and she came down and her foot hit my chest and I flew backwards, and I first landed on my butt and then my back, and then I hit my head really hard on the mat. And first I felt like I blanked out, and then I came back and I was like, oh, wow, that was weird. A few minutes later, I just went into this state of shock, and I don't really remember what happened.
I mean, she seemed fine when it happened. I mean, she got up, she walked away, she was laughing, and then within seconds, she was flat on her back, shaking, going into convulsions, her eyes rolling in the back of her head. She wasn't able to talk, and that's when right away we had to call an ambulance to come.
Kenzie is back practicing with a team, and she says there's been enough scares that the girls are hyper aware of possible concussions. But still, there's a strong temptation to ignore symptoms.
Sometimes they don't want to be out of cheering, and they're going to say, oh, no, I'm fine, but, when you see them hit the ground, you kind of have to question, you could have a possible concussion there.
Everybody tries to, stay strong for, the whole team, so, you never want somebody out, because, cheering is the only sport that includes, everybody. So, we'll just take some Advil, and we'll be like, okay, just try to get over it.
Any athlete with any ounce of competitiveness in them is gonna do the same exact thing that I did.
There are always going to be kids who lie. It's up to trainers and doctors to be human lie detectors.
People ask me, what's the one scale I can use to really figure out when this happens? What's the one exam? What's the one set of questions? And to a man, I say the single most important thing is know your kids. With my kids in the field, I know.
If you ask Kevin, why didn't you tell Miss Barbara your head hurt? He will tell you, I knew she wouldn't let me play.
If your head hurts, don't play, or tell someone. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that day and what I could have done different. If I told someone and sat out a week or two, who knows, maybe I could still be playing football, but since I didn't, I can't.